Okay, what I'm going to show you now is the CCTV evidence which was captured during an incident I was accused of on Monday the 27th of April this year. Nigel Roberts and Wendy Roberts of Nigel Roberts Newsagents in Llandudno, which is a shop over the road to the right of the screen, accused me of violently harassing them in the street. Reported me to the police. I was arrested. I was taken to St Asaph police station where I was detained. I was eventually questioned by PC 1854 Gary James, who tries to intimate that I harassed them, that I put my face in Nigel Roberts. I was really quite aggressive and nasty. That Wendy Roberts was extremely distressed and upset, and after I left the scene went back to the shop crying. Now, I'm publishing this because one, the CPS have since dropped all charges against me, and two, many of you that read this blog will know that Nigel Roberts was the publisher of the troll blog Thoughts of Oscar, which had a 7-year reign of harassment and, for want of a better expression, terrorising individuals, families, and even using the deceased members of families to attack their victims. This man's never been brought to justice, nor have his co-authors, MP for Clwyd West David Jones, Ruby Williams, Dulham Moore, Chris Drew, to name but a few. Now, we know that the MP for Clwyd West was a regular author stroke contributor because we have that admission from his business partner and Nigel's then solicitor, Dulham Moore. So please see what you think. Thank you. In a short moment you'll see Mr. and Mrs. Roberts crossing the road after confronting me and my son on a central reservation and being rather nasty. And here they come. Mr. Roberts has a go at me. He has another go at me. Now at this point I've stopped the recording just to explain what's going on here. I'm crossing the road with my son. I'm putting my phone back in my jacket pocket, and my intention is to take my son home as Mr. and Mrs. Roberts appeared to be heading towards Mostyn Street. Okay, we'll continue. Now again, you'll see there that I've stopped. I put my hands in my pockets. I have a completely passive stance, and Mr. Roberts is squaring up to me, and in a moment you'll see him step towards me and put his face first of all in my son's, then in mine. I step back. Mrs. Roberts is having a go at me and my son. I take my son, put my arm around him and take him home. Now it's up to this point that PC 1854 Gary James showed me when questioning me regarding the incident or supposed incident. What he didn't show me is what happens next, and what you'll see is Wendy Roberts doesn't go back to the shop. Wendy Roberts is on her phone to Hawkeye. Nigel Roberts is on his phone to the police. I know this because I've been told this by the police. Nigel Roberts follows in my direction, which I was completely oblivious of, as does Mrs. Roberts, who comes and goes. So tell me what you think about the distress that I'm supposed to have caused to these people. There you go, Mr. Roberts following in my direction, and his wife trotting along behind. And for a lady who's supposedly extremely upset and distressed, Mr. Roberts has not taken any moment to console his distressed wife. He's more interested in where I've gone and what I'm doing. Again, following further in my direction. Neither of them are making any attempt to go back to the shop, and this is a good 2 minutes into my leaving the scene. Yet when interviewed, Nigel Roberts claimed that he'd taken his wife back to the shop, who was extremely upset and crying. Still no sign of distress. Mr. Roberts still hasn't attempted to console his supposedly extremely distressed wife. I find this bit or quite interesting, I should say. Mrs. Roberts is clearly on the phone to Hawkeye. Watch now when the camera zooms in on her. You tell me how distressed that lady looks to you. Does that look like a distressed lady? That looks like a lady preoccupied with talking on the phone and making sure she doesn't put her shopping down. No kind of distress facially or otherwise. And of course Mr. Roberts is still the other end of the street. So I've been left the scene roughly about 4 minutes, I would say, and Mr. Roberts has not at any time tried to console his distressed wife. In fact, if you look at his stance, he's sat back relaxed, or leaning back relaxed on the railings at the central reservation. Clearly not in the least bit agitated. It's interesting as well, when I was questioned by PC 1854 Gary James, in his statement after my questioning, he lied 4 times about what I was supposed to have said during that interview. And here we are, Mr. and Mrs. Roberts now leaving the scene.